with one of our top guns presumably down for at least the first couple of weeks of regular season. Big name that is disgruntled and looking for a newer deal, and the current team that he resides with is currently accepting trade offers. Could Dan Morgan and Dave Canellis be interested in adding this player to the roster and possibly boosting its sack totals exponentially? Stay tuned to find out who this player is and what the possibilities are of adding this player on Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, Growlers. Thank you all so much for joining us here on this edition of Growlin' and Prowlin'. Of course, you're growling with the one and only Mr. CeeLo. And guys, this is not breaking news, but it is surprising news. I just read an article that stated that the Carolina Panthers are interested in possibly trading for Cincinnati Bengals disgruntled defensive edge rusher Trey Hendrickson. I know I'm kind of up in the air on that, because of what, not necessarily what happened yesterday, but we definitely need to address that, especially with Nick Scorton possibly out indefinitely. Doing my research that I did on a collapsed lung and the medical terminologies that go with it, it could be something that heals within 4 to 6 weeks, or it could be something that's indefinite. You really don't put a timetable on that. But it happened as more details are starting to emerge. He took a very vicious hit it was a very vicious collision at practice, or at the scrimmage, if you will. It's going to take time for him. Now, a lot of people are going to say, do we need to risk this with the youth movement going along? Well, I would have said, with it 4 years ago when Trey Hendrickson signed from New Orleans, I wasn't sure why we were not in on that move in the first place, because, this was a guy who had limited reps and he was still able to do what he did. But Cincinnati took a shot on him, and, he has been nothing short of the guy that has really made that defense go where it went. He and Jesse Bates, who is now Atlanta Falcon. But looking at what we saw yesterday and not understanding how important pass rush is, the question I have is Trey Hendrickson going to fit into the scheme that Coach Isra Olvera wants to work? I think that's going to be one of the more important questions to ask. How does he fit? Because you don't want to just go, and the Cincinnati Bengals are not going to let this walk. I'm a firm believer they're not going to do that. They know they got to steal with this guy. My personal opinion is, look, you got him in free agency. You've gotten him on a discount for 4 seasons. Go ahead and pay this guy. He has been the best player on that defense. Why are you sitting here being cheap still? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The way I look at this, you're talking about a guy who's a 30-year-old pass rusher, and I think he'll be 31, well, in the middle of the season. But he's had 17 and a half sacks, and he's had a grand total of 57 sacks over his 4 years in Cincinnati. Now, I don't know about y'all, but we could use that production. Not only that, we could use a guy, and I know what everybody's going to say, Pat Jones, DJ Wanham, Princely Emmanuel, as well as Nick Scorton when he returns. I get all that. But What do we have in return? Do we really want to give up a first round pick? And I know a lot of people say, well, we ain't going to have to give up a first round pick. Maybe, maybe not. Well, okay, let's do a talk. Do we want to get rid of a second round pick or maybe a third? Great edge rushers, elite edge rushers. And I know what somebody's going to say, but he's disgruntled. And I understand exactly what's going to come down here. Cincinnati wants to get something out of this. And the truth of the matter is, you need to do what you need to do if you're the Bengals. You got a real chance with that offense to win games. Whereas if he comes here, he's going to be asked to be the guy to get pressure on the quarterback, which may not be a bad deal if you put him on the other side of Princely Emmanuel and you say, hey, he's one-on-one. And then you've got Derek Brown and, of course, Tershawn Wharton as well as Bobby Brown III. When you put that together and you've got these type of guys that are eating up a lot of the blockers, you're going to have an opportunity to get some sacks and be on a defense that's really, really good. I really believe if we put this guy out there, he could be just transforming for this defense. Then the other aspect that comes into the play is him getting paid. This is a guy that's going to command right there with Myles Garrett and company, because this is the guy that led the league in sacks. Plain and simple. I'm not real big on that. I think we've got 30 plus million coming up in cap space as far as this year. I think we're right at the $16-17 million mark. And yeah, we could take this kind of hit, but it's going to be massive when it comes to trying to re-sign Bryce, trying to re-sign Ike Ekwonu, or even Taylor Moton if that's the case. Do I think this would be a guy that would just automatically boost this defense? Without a doubt. He's one of the best, and Cincinnati has not treated him as such. But if the rumors are true, what Jordan Schultz, who is a league insider, so this is not just gawking information. You see the Colts are potential suitors and the Cleveland Browns are potential suitors. Why, I don't know, but I can tell you the Cleveland Browns understand that this defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. And if you could put him on the outside of Myles Garrett, I mean, you're talking about two elite pass rushers finishing in the top 5 in sacks. And Trey Hendrickson, meanwhile, he's not much of a disruptor. He's more of a hit or miss kind of guy. But then there's Myles Garrett, a guy who draws so much attention. And yeah, with these two guys together, there's no telling what you could get. But bringing him to Charlotte would definitely erase any type of rotational things being done. I'm not saying it would be written in stone, but I think Trey Hendrickson wants to be out there on that field. But I think with Coach Avero, he's one of those, he likes to rotate out. And of course, if you bring him in, you're going to want this guy on third downs. That's his money down. This is one of those guys, he makes it his business to get to the quarterback. How do I think? I really don't know if we can afford to go this route because, as I said, I get it. Nick Scorton's injury makes it a huge deal. We talked about this before. I just think that the $40 million price tag is going to be a bit much. I really think it's going to be a bit much. And realistically, I would love to have him, but I think it's one we need to kind of stay away from, because then you're talking about paying $40 million, and then you're going to have to give up something. And Cincinnati doesn't look like, I think this is a classic case of they're saying they're taking trade offers just to kind of see and play off of what other teams are going to be willing to go, or where they're willing to go. What realm of the thought, what process does this, what type of process does this, what type of action goes into this process? What does it go into? And I think ultimately, I think Dan Morgan, he's done a great job going with the youth movement, and I'm not sure if he's willing to put down on this when you went second and third round guys on the edge guys. I don't think you do that. I don't think you do a situation where, one, you have to give away something, and then you have to give a large portion of your cap space to one player. But you can't deny what Trey Hendrickson would look like in this defense. But let me know what you guys think. How do you react to the Panthers possibly becoming are now according to insiders, the Panthers are among the teams interested in trading for Trey Hendrickson? Please comment below. I've actually got a poll that was down there on the YouTube channel about this a couple of months ago. But here we are again, nearly 2 weeks away from opening kickoff, and the Panthers are still linked to Trey Hendrickson. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you comment and leave your name if you're a first-time subscriber. Also, make sure that you go to the Facebook group and page, join and add. Finally, make sure you go to my Instagram at Mr. CeeLo so you can keep up with all the shenanigans on and off season that I will indulge in. But until the next time, make sure you keep prowling the airwaves and keep growling out. Keep pounding.